Well, first let me say that the immediate response to pain is usually ouch, or tears, or anger, or returning pain for pain to your tormentor, or even yourself. These are natural responses, and each may be appropriate. But I want to note that this initial impulse will pass. It will morph, and it will dissipate. And it's in that moment where pain offers its gift. Now, it's up to you to reach into it and accept it and unwrap it and use it. But the gift is there, and the gift is this. Your heartbreak can put you in touch with the heartbreak of others. It is from here that compassion flows. It was heartbreak that enlightened Gautama Buddha. The lotus blooms from roots in the mire and grime. If, on the other hand, you choose not to reach into the pain, not to accept this gift, not to unwrap it, not to use it, to cultivate compassion, you will, in all likelihood, reinforce all the dynamics that created the pain to begin with. So this is your choice. Your heartbreak may be a window into the heartbreak of others and then a ladder to liberation, or it may be a wall to others and a prison for you. A prison whose walls are held up by your own effort. Each choice results in a feedback loop that reinforces itself. So we have been told by the Buddha and others that the feedback loop that results from understanding your heartbreak as a path to the heartbreak of others finally results in the ending of pain. The cessation of irritation, and the ability to welcome all things and find deep peace of mind. This was the Buddha's path to enlightenment, nirvana, and happiness. On the other hand, we have witnessed easily and every day that the feedback loop that ignores the gift, that understands heartbreak as an isolated and individual phenomena, will result in an elephant run amok, a life of reactivity, which is a life out of control. I speak from experience on this. I know this feeling quite well. The gift of heartbreak is compassion. And compassion heals. It heals the heart even as it breaks and breaks again. The Buddha tells us that this cycle of compassion and heartbreak and compassion will eventually lead us to liberation and even happiness. So compassion heals and liberates. And the path of happiness is through compassion. Meanwhile, the path to happiness is the path of atonement, whose vocabulary is perhaps today quite relevant. After all, we worship together today in the shadow of our Jewish heritage, for whom this weekend is the most holy. Yesterday was Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, which has to do with discovering where one has behaved poorly and making amends before what they would call God and what we might more inclusively refer to as the ground of all being. Atonement doesn't mean groveling. It actually means at one ment, which when I first saw that, it reminded me of some New Agey parsing. But in fact, that's the actual etymology of it. at one-ment. So Yom Kippur is a day of finding your way back into union with the Tao. Importantly, in the Jewish tradition, before one can reconcile with God, one must first reconcile with whomever it is your actions have injured, a human. The wisdom here is that the sense of union with the universe is made possible by reconciling with your enemies. So this mystical experience is possible, made possible, through reconciling with those from whom you are estranged. So today is the culmination of a period designated for inquiring within yourself and where you have caused heartbreak in the Jewish tradition. And if you know what heartbreak feels like, then today is a day for passing through that hurt and finding within it the power of compassion, forgiveness, begging pardon, and reconciliation. For compassion, the gift of heartbreak that the community promises us, will guide us to atone for our inevitable missteps in the community of family, church, and neighborhood. Compassion is the path to happiness. Compassion is the path of atonement. It's also the path of restorative justice. By that, I simply mean a kind of justice that is not based on vengeance, which treats the symptoms and which winds up perpetuating violence. I mean a kind of justice that addresses cause and ends the cycle of violence. Heartbreak and the compassion it offers, the empathy it engenders, lead us out of our self-centeredness and eventually into deep assurance. Heartbreak and empathy lead us into right relationship with one another and with strangers. We are thereby led out of ourselves and into a world in need. And so heartbreak and compassion is the foundation of justice work. And not just justice, but restorative justice. There is an equation developing here. Because humans are imperfect but need community, you are promised to offend those with whom you affiliate. You are promised to have your heart broken. And so in community, particularly in this community that highlights the value of compassion, it is possible then to find empathy in that heartbreak, to reconcile, to become both liberated and unified, and to be led thereby into a broader culture in need of restorative justice. Liberated from our own fear and pain and unified by our ongoing reconciliation under the aegis of common cause, we can be a powerful force for good in this world. There is a point in this pursuit at which the ego is starved out and the identity of the person finds atonement, finds unity, finds itself as the means and vehicle of compassion and maybe even identifying with and as compassion itself. The ego is subdued, identity is expanded. It is a powerful feeling, perhaps not a stranger to all of us. It is fulfilling, and we can do this. We have all the ingredients. We have the generosity, We have the fallibility, and so we are primed for heartbreak. Find it. It's probably not hard to find. Find your own, and then know where you have hurt someone else. Connect these and let your empathy turn to compassion, and ask that compassion what it wants you to do. And then we can help each other find a shared vision for our efforts at justice. And we begin that effort today. In fact, after the service, we will begin to turn our thoughts to this question. We have a guest from Beacon Fellowship, Unitarian Universalist in Flagstaff, who will speak to us about the process that they used to find a shared mission and vision of their justice work. So I would ask you to come and learn, come ask compassion, come and reconcile with a heartbroken world in need of atonement.